Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez, hanging out a little bit all over the place today. And I'll tell you why. I have a nightstand next to my bed, and there's this charging station that's on top of the nightstand where you put all of your your watch and your doohickeys and stuff, like your headphones and your phone to charge. And my earpods, the Apple earpods, whatever. Is that what AirPods? What are they called? The things that go in your ear holes and they're like, anyway, they're probably called like AirPods or Apple Pods or something like that. We know what we're talking about, okay? Well, the case fell off not 2 feet from the nightstand to the floor. And, as you know, I have all this stuff in this area. But it bounced, and I guess when I looked to the ground, I saw one earpod. I should look it up. And the case, right? The case was open and one was missing. And this is not a very large area. Maybe, I guess 14 by 14 or something, 14 by 12 or something. It's not a huge room, okay? But it's full of like hardware for drums and like wires and speakers and amplifiers, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's like just a lot of stuff. And I start by moving my nightstand all the way out of the way, but I'm telling you, it's like it just vanished. And you have to understand, it's happened to me before where I think I know where my headphones are at, and then they vanish. And in this room, in my mind, I thought it was in this room. Well, it was technically, because they were in my pant pocket and the pants ripped. And so I was so angry that the pants ripped that I threw them in the trash, not knowing that my earphones, my Apple AirPods or whatever they're called, were in the pocket, right? I threw them away. So the panic kind of sets in pretty much right away. And I start moving things around. And this is what I consider where my studio area, where I'm gonna, of course, if you're watching, I just flashed my my Apple laptop. It's like a laptop. It's a pad, but it has and it's out of juice, I think. Anyway, I was going to look up the official term. It's so stupid that I don't know what the AirPods, headphones, doohickeys are called. It's frustrating me to no end, but whatever. I digress. The point being that I started moving everything around, shoving things, and this whole entire area was a disaster area. And so I just couldn't function. I couldn't record and function in this condition. So I was like trying to semi-organize things. And it's weird how that works, where I tell my son all the time, organization is underrated. You really, if things are where they're at, your mind works better. It's just, I don't know why it is. Maybe because it doesn't have to sort through the clutter or whatever the case is. But for whatever reason, I couldn't set up to record the podcast today if I was, if I was going to climb over mess and try to figure out. But the good news is after I moved everything, I found the single earphone. Oh my God, I'm inventing words now. The headphone. I found the single headphone, and it was mixed in with my drum hardware. If I hadn't moved everything in the universe, I would not have found it. So I didn't feel bad about having to, but I do want to use this opportunity to get rid of a bunch of stuff in here. Because, gee, Will, I can't even tell you. I was like, I didn't even know I had half the hardware that I had, and that's a bad sign when you got a bunch of stuff that you don't even know. Anyway, it's been a good weekend so far. I was kind of bummed because the family went out to go to a theme park. But I had, I wanted to record this episode. And I mean, if you're anybody who's listened for any duration of time, it's been a long time since I've been consistent and, able to do it on the day that I want to do it on without rushing, without, problems. So, and also the weather's been kind of wonky. So my wife really wanted me to knock out the yard before it started raining or something crazy, right? Okay, before you think that my wife is an awful person and, what's wrong with her for, like pushing me around to clean things, it's not the point. She does a ton in the house, and I try to keep up. If you ask her, she does everything in the house, which is not 100% true, but we'll let her have it. But she's offered several times to hire somebody to do the yard. It's not like we're bawling. It's just that she wants me to have more time with the family, right? And it's a small sacrifice to try to, pay somebody to do the yard. But the thing is, I really do. I take pride in doing the yard. I love kind of messing with the mulch and the all of the cutting the grass in rows, and when you're driving by, you see everything looks real legit. I mean, like, it's stupid, but again, it's not stupid because I think things that matter to you should matter to you, whatever. So I don't really let her hire somebody to do it. I remember one time she was like, "I'm just gonna knock it out. You're at work, or you're doing your thing. I'm off. I'm here." And then I looked out in the backyard, and it was just like the backyard looked like a bad haircut. Like, just there was, I mean, in her mind, she cut corners and was like, "I figured I'd knock out that corner like tomorrow." And like, I didn't want to weed eat, so it looks a little shaggy, but it's a lot better than it was. And I was like, it's really not. It looks like you went to the backyard and beat up, the trees and the bushes, and now everything just looks like it's in pain. No, not to be weird or whatever, but she had her heart was in the right place. But I think OCD comes in handy sometimes when you like doing a job right, and you love doing things in a manner that's like you can, you have a certain way you want it done. There's nothing wrong with that if you're the one willing to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's harder when you have people that you hire and you micromanage them, and you're like looking over their shoulder and saying, "I like my sandwiches cut, diagonal, not straight across." You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's not a good look. But I mean, by all means, if you want to, plate your food like a 5-star chef, and it's just you eating by yourself on a Tuesday at 6, but do it. So I think I'm going to be doing a lot of tangents today because I feel like I'm all over the place. When I was doing the art, I was, because I used to wear my headphones and, blast podcasts or like music. And it was actually kind of a cool thing to sort of zone out while you're mowing the yard, right? And there's like, I used to listen to like beats and stuff, and you would hear like just a faint kick and snare, or like a little light melody in the background, and so it would be pretty special, like, when you're mowing, and you maybe even hear your own melody on top of that, and sort of can just daydream about writing a song over it. A lot of instrumental beats I used to listen to. It's weird to have like auditory memories. Like, I can remember mowing the lawn and hearing, for example, I can't even tell you what it was about, but I remember they were talking, there was this one celebrity Um, I think it was either like Selena Gomez or the girl from High School Musical, and they were talking about enjoying cooking. And then she says, yeah, it's really easy. You just get some bread and you get some mayonnaise and you put the mayonnaise on the bread and it's just this fantastic sandwich. And I said, I remember mowing the yard and saying, wait, it's a mayonnaise sandwich. Are you trying to say that you're cooking and that you just made a mayonnaise sandwich? And I remember, I guess it's that sort of peripheral listening that you have because you're engaged in doing yard work, that there probably was more to it, but I don't think so. I think you should research that. I might do that. Find out about this. Maybe they were being funny and it was a joke. I don't know. No context. I have no idea. And I remember hearing Conan O'Brien interviewing, who was it? But it was Conan O'Brien. He was on, maybe it was David Letterman, but they were talking about World War II. And I just remember mowing around, doing circles like around the tree, making like a pattern. Most random thing, but I can see the visual and hear his voice very distinctly. But like I said, no details. It's just these weird images that I have, memories, auditory, like linked memories. Those are just a couple examples. A lot of Joe Rogan, random information. But today the past couple times I haven't been. I won't put headphones in. Mainly because I feel like I'm having to put the volume way too loud to get it over the volume of the weed whacker or the lawnmower, right? So it's just not worth it to me on the one hand. And two, I think that I operate too often being afraid to be in my own thoughts and to be in my own space. So sometimes forcing yourself to semi-being in the vicinity is important. And like today I was mowing the yard and I was just going back and forth, and I had a whole episode or a whole issue with the lemon tree. Okay. I didn't ask for a lemon tree to be the tree planted in my backyard. When we moved into this house, there was this big giant, like, it was a dead tree. It was like this wide trunk, and it was like maybe my height, but it was gutted down the middle with like wood rot, and like it was dead, a dead stump. And I remember when we were talking with the realtor about buying the house, I was staring at that tree stump, and I was saying to myself, that's the first thing to go, and I'm gonna do it. That's gonna be fun. And there was a tree and then another tree in the backyard as well. Anyway, and I would go out there after I'd get off of work or whenever I have a day off, and I would just, with an axe and with just out there, and one of those pickaxes and an axe, and I was just hammering at it, and I was obsessed, and I would spend hours just attacking it. And I'm not I would categorize myself more as a city person than I am like a woodsy person, or I say woodsy, but I mean like familiar with everything that I've learned from yard work and different things. It's just very fundamental and case by case, and mostly YouTube, but for sure. We'll get back to the lemon tree, but that was where the YouTube came in. Like, how to care. I have a pomegranate tree and a lemon tree. What? Like, I'm not a green thumb. I don't know. But anyway, so every year this lemon tree tries, and it's starting from scratch, right? By all accounts. And it gets, like, it springs out like a bit of a bush. No lemons. I think it has to grow and get a bit of a base, and then it's supposed to do that again. I don't know. But every winter, every like cold freeze, we have a freeze or two, it gets real brittle, and every spring a new little thing comes up. So it's not making any progress, right? And I don't know if I haven't done the research with it to know what I'm doing wrong. But I was mowing back and forth, and I thought, I went on this rabbit hole, because I said the phrase in my mind. I said, well, it's not the lemon tree's fault that it's not growing and it's not like living up to its potential. And then all of a sudden it was like a metaphor for parenting, and next thing you know, I was just wondering, like, how people can just have kids and have no earthly idea what they're doing and have no idea what detrimental actions are. I had a great talk with my son last night. He opened up about all these different things. And to put into some context, if you listen to these episodes in the past, I lived with my son until his 4th birthday. And after that, I had visitation with him, and he just turned 18. He's 18 and a half now. And, you do what you can. You try to cram as much parental advice and knowledge and mistakes that you've made and things that you want to share into those visitations, but you're not there for the daily sort of like reinforced, where you talk and you share these concepts and reinforce them over time. I told him that it's ironic because with my daughter, I live here in the house with her, but I see, if you take the cumulative time that I had with my son, we went hard every weekend when we stayed together for two days. I mean, it was jam packed from morning to night. We were doing stuff, really getting at it, going to theme parks and to fun places, and everything was engaged in conversation, and the whole world revolved around him when I was with him. And with my daughter, I have to like fight to get the time that I get, you know what I mean? Because of just natural day-to-day obligations. But there's no like I get the weekend, right? And here I am doing yard work and podcasts while they're off, doing a theme park. And this, here's the thing. My daughter came up to me this morning. She said, and we're tangenting for a minute. Hopefully I can get back to what I was saying, but this is where this is leading for now. My daughter said, Dad, the theme park that they're going to has a zip line. And it's a well-known fact that I won't get on a zip line. She said, Dad, why don't you like zip lines? And I said, that feeling where your stomach goes whoop, like when you're high and you fall down, or when I said, some people like that feeling. I don't really like it. Plus, like, people enjoy that little fear that they get when they're up high and they do whatever activity. They enjoy it, and it brings them happiness. They laugh and they smile, and it's fun for them. and it's not for me. And I don't want to do it because of that reason. Now, if I had to climb to the top of a mountain and zip line down to save my family, okay, let's do it. I mean, I have to, right? I mean, there's no question about it. I wouldn't enjoy it, but I wouldn't pay someone to go somewhere out of my way to do that. It just seems sort of strange to do that, right? It's very difficult and very because you don't want to come off like a coward to your kids or your family, right? I remember my son got on a roller coaster ride with with the rest of the party that was there, and I opted out. I didn't want to do it. So you have to understand, I've done roller coasters. I've gone to high places. I've gone on elevators. Now I work at a job where I go up on the elevator multiple times in a given day, and these are all things that I don't enjoy, and I personally take sort of like, I don't like it, okay, but I do it. But I did the roller coasters, and I did the water slides that were, to prove to myself that it wasn't just the irrational fear, right? That it was more than that. It was just that I don't like it, and I don't want to do it, right? But, try telling that to a 9-year-old and who's just like, yeah, sure, but it's important to me. I want you to go on the ride with me. And, so I might end up having to do it one of these days just to, I don't know, or not. Because it was another point that I was trying to make is that, your peers may pressure you and want you to do things that you just really don't want to do. But you get that feeling that you don't want to let them down. Well, shit, I don't want to let them down. Everybody's doing it. That I should do it too, and that's a bad message. That's two steps away from eating a Tide Pod, or or that's like doing some Sprite challenge with Mentos. I don't know if that's even bad. Anyway, I'm just saying, occasionally you should say, no, I don't want to jump off the bridge. And just because you and everybody else is doing it and it's going to hurt your feelings that I'm not going to do it, I mean, I'd like to think that as a parent, I'd be like, you're also not jumping off the bridge because that's stupid. But in this particular instance, it's this really tame zip line. And look, here's the thing. I know I said zip line a couple of times and I left it out in the air like it was a regular zip line. This is probably the safest zip line that ever was. You're not holding on to a thing. It's in a box and you're just sort of in this box that's going on a zip line for a little while. I just don't want to do it. I don't know. Maybe I have to. But that was her talking to me today. But I had a really good conversation with my son last night, and he was talking about, working through these ideas of abandonment and me not being around all the time as he wanted me to be, or having to come to terms with that and rationalize that. It was heavy, but it felt good that he could talk to me about it, about, other things. I mean, it's his story to tell and his life that he's living. And, but the important thing is that we're establishing that relationship now. And he knows that I was always trying to be there. I was always I wouldn't just take the no for an answer, right? And even though it was difficult, and even though sometimes when I'd reach out, it wouldn't be well received, I kept trying, right? And even now, I think it's paying off because he knows, like that I'll be here, even though whether or not he's, caught up in his own stuff for a while, and he can't, reciprocate, and he knows that I'll be there for those times when he can. You know what I mean? And that's all you can do as a parent. They say that when your kids grow up, you spend far less time with them as you do. But I think that it's up to you to make yourself available in theory. So you say, look, I get it, you're busy, you're doing all this, but when you have a chance, let's get together, and I'll drop everything. Like, I was gonna have dinner last night, and I had a tentative thing open with him, like, if you can make it out, if we can go out, let's do it. You know what I mean? And he, I called him up. I said, I'm done with my show. So what's the word? And he's like, I'm down. Let's go. So, I had to be like, I have to do this. It's important to me. But one thing I did want to talk about, sometimes I'll write things on the board and say I want to talk about them. And I've discovered something. Last time I was looking at the board after I finished the podcast, and the reminder word that was written on the board was interview people. And I saw it on the board, and then I talked for about 5 minutes or something about enjoying the interview process and enjoying hiring somebody, because I had just hired somebody at my job. And then when I finished the podcast, I was up there, I was about to erase the board, and I say that wasn't what I meant. That wasn't what that reminder word was for. I don't know, I just saw the word, and all of a sudden I started blah, blah, blah about all this other things, but it got me thinking, like, how many times has that happened? It happens a lot, and I never talk about it. I'm always like, I saw some sign and I go off on it, and it ends up being completely different. What I was trying to say about the interview thing was that I discovered about myself that I have attachment issues. I can meet somebody in an interview, and if I remotely like you, then it's like, it's hard for me to not bring you on the team. Like, you know what I mean? I just like, I sort of, I like people pretty quickly. And for good or for bad, I have to stop and think, I interviewed maybe like, I don't know, 5, 6 people. And it's not like I wanted to bring all of them on. It was just that I get attached to them, and I start wanting to, like, help them in their lives. It's just stupid. Like, I was, I don't know. It made me want to, I was talking to one interviewee, and I was telling them about other opportunities in different departments, and I was trying to coach him on these different things. And I thought to myself, what are you doing, dude? You're here for one job only. You're here to figure out whether or not they fit with you, and if not, vámonos. Like, just find your way. You know what I mean? That's just not me. Let me tell you something. I have this new thing that's been going on in my mind, and it's this concept that I'm sort of, maybe I dare say even like a mantra. Here's the thing. I'm realizing that you can only control you. In any given scenario, in any situation, you can only control your response to the things that are said, your volunteered information and actions that you bring to the situation. And other than that, you can influence if you're knowledgeable in the ways of not, I mean, manipulation is such a bad word, but in the art of like nudging people in a given direction, right? But you can't control the other person or the other parties. And at least, and more importantly, like the way that they treat you and your expectations for their behavior, they have to be kept in check because of this reason. And I have this mantra that I say, oh wait, oh, I get it, you're the asshole, right? All this time I thought it was me, it was something that I was doing, but oh, I see now, I get it, you're the not nice person. And I don't know if I can say that word, but that was the word that I say in my head, so I wanted to at least say it once. But I wanted to put it on a t-shirt, oh wait, I see, you're the asshole. Because the thing is, more often than not, I'm finding that I do try to go above and beyond and be nice to people, to do things for people. And when it's not reciprocated or acknowledged, or when it's actually the opposite that's happening, I feel that it's unjust. It's not right. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to try to be as vague as possible as to not, be specific as to who I'm talking about, right? But I was in this given situation where somebody tried to talk down to me in front of a partner of mine, and was mean, and I had to put a stop to it in a very respectful, tactful way. But word got back to other people, and because of that, their actions, they got reprimanded and were yelled at by separate parties because they were in the wrong. They were wrong to try to do that. And I was the bigger person. I didn't raise my voice or speak with any sort of disrespect in the instance, right? But needless to say, that person decided that I was persona non grata. Like I didn't exist to them, right? And flash forward, we'll say a couple months of ignoring and not acknowledging, you don't exist. It's like invisible person, right? I am this invisible person. And one day they need something from me. And not only do they need something from me, but they need me to give it to them in front of their family, right? And I went above and beyond to try to be super sweet to the family members. Like, not only was this family members gonna think that we were kind to each other, that I liked this person, but they're gonna think that this person was royalty and must be, like any guest of theirs is huge and needed to be treated with pomp and circumstances. I was really trying to be nice. Y'all have a great day. Here's what you need to function and to get around, take care, right? And this other person, their reaction to that was kind of like, they turned up their nose and just went about their day. Like that was expected and they were entitled to that. And there was, there was nothing special or good about it. And then when they took their family in front of, other people that were there, they made it a point to introduce their family to everybody, but she wouldn't acknowledge me. this person wouldn't acknowledge me. I went back to not existing again. So that's where that phrase popped in my head yet again. It was not always about that one person, but it happens when people show their true colors and then how they are, right? You know, I look back at friendships, and I've beat myself up on, I've done it on this podcast, as a matter of fact, you know, where I say, I could have been better. I could have reached out more. I could be a better friend. And it's true. I try, you know, I try now even to, it's out of my character, but I try hard. But I think to myself, I look back and even, you know, who reaches out to me? How many times does somebody just have a courtesy call and say, yo, just thought about you and wanted to say, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I could say, well, maybe I haven't built that type of relationship with these different people, right? But the burden isn't always on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to forgive yourself a little bit for being overwhelmed with the things that you have going on in your life. But the thing is, and acknowledge that for the other parties, right? So I'm sure everybody in the world has things going on, but I know that people maintain relationships with each other. People keep in contact. They invite each other out to do things, or whatever the case is. So I know that we all could do better, but the point is to not beat yourself up. To say, you know what, we could all be doing more for that, right? But it's not you only. Like, why do that? Anyway, just as I was thinking about that out loud, I was rationalizing that, you know, it's probably everybody has that life coming at them really fast all the time. And unless you're in that person's orbit, then there's no reason why they would reach out in any respect. You know what I mean? That's probably true. I'll have to think about that for a while. I don't know, that was a fun, I remember doing that. I went through my I want to call it a Rolodex, but that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Where your contact list, that's it, you know. It was right during COVID, and I started calling everybody I would go name by name, and I would just say, hey, just, you know, I wanted to hear how you're doing, see if you're okay, how things are, and I realized that, and I told several people, I realized that I'm not as good of a friend, or not as good as I could have been, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to just reach out, and no expectation, just wanted to reach out and let you know I thought about you, and hope that you're okay, and you and your family, or whomever. And it was really kind of a cathartic event. I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people were going through a lot of things, and it was nice to get a gleam of different people's lives, you know. And I didn't do, I mean, everybody, but I made it through a good part of my contact list, and it felt kind of nice to do that. I don't know. But I went to an estate sale. I might go there again. I have to see what time it is. When I went in, there was a woman talking to another woman, and they were reminiscing about this man that had passed away. And it was just very, it was very sad, but at the same time, bittersweet, kind of, because for somebody to miss you that bad and to say it, you know, oh, I really miss him, and he was great, and you know, I think it was either his wife or his partner. It looked like his kids were there, or maybe it was his grandkids. They were like teenagers or whatever, but I always get the same way when I'm at estate sales, because I'm like, this is the accumulation of everything this person has purchased throughout their life, or that they found value in, and now it's just being given to like all these different people. Anyway, but I bought a bunch of shirts from him. They were like $2. They were way underpriced. Like, these shirts were like, some of them were like $20, $40 shirts. Very nice shirts. And I don't know. He had a bunch of guns, but they were all like air rifles, you know what I mean? Like BB guns or like pellet guns. One looked legit, but I'm not going to draw a gun, you know. It's the stupidest thing you could do. Is if somebody broke in and you point a pellet gun at them, and then they, you know, there's the possibility that they would have a gun, a real gun, and what are you going to, I mean, try to get a shot off at their eye? Like, you know what I mean? But he had a ton of them. I'm like, what are you shooting, dude? Anyway. But it's a good example. For some reason, I wanted to write $2 shirts on the board, but I didn't want to talk about $2 shirts. I had no, you know. I was driving on the highway, and this guy was trying to, you know how like you have an entrance ramp to the highway, and then you have a certain amount of time, and then you get onto the lane, and the lane ends, and you merge into traffic. Well, there were several cars, and they were doing like, one car would be on the highway, and then one car would merge behind them, and then another car, and then the other car would merge behind them. And this car was like, I want to like zoom ahead, and I want to like shove my way, you know. It's like a pet peeve of mine. And so I said, you know, I can match your crazy. And I just revved mine and said, okay, you're going to have to hit me if you want to shove your way in front of me. And he kind of like slammed on his brakes and swerved a little bit and like got behind, and he faded far back, honked his horn a little bit. But like, I just got a bully vibe from it, and maybe you shouldn't do that, but he was trying to shove his way, like, and I'm going to appreciate it. Was it worth maybe possibly getting into an auto accident over it? No. And I was trying to tell my son that last night, like, just because you can match their crazy doesn't mean you should match their crazy. Sometimes you just got to let people be stupid and avoid them. Anyway. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, and I will see y'all next week. We'll talk about some different things going on. We'll have plenty of time to do that on our next episode. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Message me at lostlikeMike at gmail.com. I do enjoy answering questions or responding to those messages, okay? Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye.